Recording is on. We have 1 minute. Is that okay?
1 minute, okay. Tell me when to go.
Alrighty, Mayor, we're ready.
All right, welcome everybody to tonight's Sunnyside City Council study session. Typically, study sessions are some of the most boring meetings of the month for City Council, but judging by the audience, there's a great deal of anticipation of excitement. So welcome, everyone. Glad to have you all here. For the record, all members of council are present. Councilor Hancock is here via Zoom. And all members of staff indicated are also present. So thank you everyone for being here. First item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Council, we did have one request to move the executive session to the beginning of the meeting. Councilor Hancock has asked for it to be at the beginning. I don't know how council feels about that.
I think we should go ahead and keep it at the end, as we've been trying to do, make sure that all of the audience are here to see what's going on.
I agree with that. Was there a reasoning why she wanted it to be moved forward?
There's a lot on the executive session.
I wouldn't want to keep them waiting.
Yeah, we've been trying to avoid that.
Well, and that was a comment that has been raised by council before, that we want to keep our executive sessions at the end so that otherwise everybody's got to go out in the lobby. And there's quite a few people to pack into that lobby, and I can guarantee there's not seats for everyone.
Yes, Mayor.
Yeah.
Do you want, she wants to do it before the public comment or right
She
after?
wants to do it right after public comment.
Right after public comment?
Yes.
I think that's okay. I'm okay.
Oh, after public comment. Okay.
No,
Yeah.
but still, people come all this way to sit here and maybe they want to hear something what's going on in the work study. I think we've been trying to hold it at the end, and I think that's where we should keep it.
I disagree.
I also think that the agenda is something that we'll go through fairly quickly. There's not a ton of new information on it.
Okay.
And I think the executive
Thanks to.
session has got a lot to it, and we could be here a while in the executive session. And I'd like to get the regular agenda done before we go into executive session. That's me personally. I don't know.
I concur.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that too.
All right. That being said, what is the desire of council on the agenda? As presented?
Move to approve.
Move to approve. Second. You moved. I'll second.
All right, we got a motion by Councilor Frausto, second by Councilor Hart to approve the agenda as it stands. Is there debate on this item? Hearing none. Councilor Hancock, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
What is your vote on the agenda approval?
No.
No. Councilor Ripley?
No.
Councilor Frausto?
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez?
Yes.
Councilor Hart?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor?
Yes.
I too vote yes. Motion passes. Agenda is approved. Next item, public comment. And before we go into public comment, there's a couple of things I want to read from council rules of procedure. Under public comment, 8.1.3, public comment. Citizens may address the council during the public comment item on any issues, provided the questions and comments are limited to 3 minutes or other duration due to time constraints. Issues may either be referred to staff or the council may schedule the item for a future council agenda. 8.3, personal and slanderous remarks. Any person making personal, slanderous, impertinent remarks or who shall become boisterous while addressing the council may be requested to leave the meeting and may be forthwith by the chair barred from further audience before the council during that council meeting. Okay, council may appoint a committee to refer citizens' complaints. The council may appoint a committee of 3 members to the city council to hear citizens' complaints, refer the matter for review by the city manager, or may refer citizens' complaints to an executive session of the city council whenever the subject would be appropriate. Because I know there's a lot of people here to make public comments, I just wanted to make sure that we are all on the same page regarding our public comments and that we are here to be polite and professional in our comments. All right. And you are once again reminded that you have 3 minutes to the council. Please address the chair, and council members are not going to engage in conversations with you. So All right, and I have a significant list. So we're going to start with Lorenzo Garza. Please approach the microphone, state your city of residence, and make your comments.
Good evening, everyone. Lorenzo Garza, Sunnyside, 314 Peach Avenue. Let me start first by apologizing to the council members and the public for feeling or seeming like my comments seems to be all over the board. But actually I feel at home because that's exactly how I'm currently feeling about our city governance, that we are all over the board with no clear direction. I was really heartbroken to hear that our interim public works director has chosen to say no mas and throw in the towel. And why I say that, because after hearing that on Friday, and then I read today's paper or Sunday's paper, and then I read about some of the items that our past interim director had done for us in identifying some funding that, to my knowledge, I'm sure we have found those knowledge, but these are funding that went to the public. And again, as a taxpayer, I feel really comfortable that we have directors, council members that are truly looking out for our interests. I don't know why our past interim director left. I'm sure he has his reasons. But again, I'm here to share with you all that in the eyes of the public, this is the things we hear out there. And we elected each one of you, and this message goes to each one of you, and also to the members or community members that are here that will be vying some of your positions as well. We need to do a better job of getting ourselves together, getting ourselves truly, keeping our dislikes amongst each other, private, out of social media, and truly share and demonstrate to the community that we are here for the better of the community. Again, I am very heartbroken to hear that that individual left, and that might hear like I had a crush on him. Not really. That was not the case. I respect that individual. I respected what he done for the few months he was here. He had no reason to come here. He did us a favor. And again, are we here to run good people out of our city, although he didn't reside here, but what he did for us? I personally feel that he did an excellent job for the very short period of time he was here. I would like us to continue in that path. And again, this is something you all are going to have to address in one form, shape, or another. But again, let's do what's best for the community. And I do understand, I was elected official as well. And I know there's a lot that goes behind closed door in executive session. We need to be very professional. Keep that in executive sessions. Don't take it out. And again, let's do what's best for our community. I don't longer want to continue paying taxpayers' money.
Sir, your 3 minutes is
for things. Thank you very much for hearing me out.
All right, thank you. All right, the next name on my list is Jerika Nava. Did I say your name right? And while she's walking up, I apologize for the temperature in here. We haven't been able to get the air conditioner to turn.
Jerica.
Hmm?
Jerica.
Jerica. Okay, put the accent on the wrong letter. I apologize.
Good evening. My name is Jerica Nava, and I am a 19-year-old college student, and I'm a proud youth of Sunnyside. And I'm here tonight because I care deeply about the direction that our city is heading in right now. And as someone who follows the council meetings very regularly, as well as community updates, it's been very difficult to watch the disruption that has followed Councilmember Hancock's appointment. I think it's very obvious that we've heard from multiple sources that our staff's confidence is quite low right now, and it has nothing to do with them not doing their jobs, but has everything to do with them being overwhelmed by the aggressive demands and the hostile environment that Hancock is creating right now. People who have served this city with dedication are now facing a lot of mental stress and burnout, and some are even stepping away. And I think that this should concern every single one of us, and I hope that that's why a lot of people are here tonight. And while that's all happening, I think someone who's facing a lot of public criticism is our city manager while he's out doing community work. I just want to say that I really support Mike Gonzalez, and not everyone recognizes that under his leadership, he has worked with others to secure nearly $1.3 million in state capital funding for our community. When our city was facing a $4 million deficit, he was very upfront with the public and with the council. And when we lost our community pool, he proposed a small utility tax to keep it open, which led the community to step up and raise an additional $50,000. He's worked very closely with local youth programs on creating opportunities, and when the city was faced with the concern of immigration enforcement, he did not hesitate to come forward and make sure that our city's majority knew that we were making its every attempt to keep everyone safe. Our city manager may not be perfect, but he's very consistent in showing that he cares for the people of Sunnyside, and I think that is very much something that we should be appreciating a lot more than we are. And now, this brings me to council members Jorge and Karen. I supported you both during your campaigns, and I really strongly believed in your guys' vision and your commitment in representing our Hispanic community, which is why it is very disheartening to see your guys' silence and worse, your guys' work with a woman whose behavior is tearing down hardworking city employees and those who are trying to make a difference. Jorge, your business and your campaign, I feel, were very strongly built with the support of our Hispanic community, and all that I ask is, where is that support in return? Karen, I saw so much strength in you, and I really hope that I can see that again soon. There is no doubt about it that this is no longer about politics, and I feel like this is now about our community and our people, and it's about choosing leaders who properly reflect the values and the vision we have for Sunnyside.
30 seconds, please.
I want to have a better city for the youth who are watching and learning and who are even preparing to lead amongst these very seats that you guys are sitting in right now. And I think we need to hold people accountable not only for what they do, but for what they are not doing and what they're allowing. So please do not forget who you're representing and why you were chosen to serve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Point of order, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
She did not state where she resides, and she was making personal attacks, which are against the policy that you outlined prior to public comment.
Thank you. And yes, I was going to mention that for the next one. Just remind, no personal attacks. If there is somebody that you are opposed to, please do not mention that person by name. You may say that there is a council member that you are opposed to whose behavior is not acceptable to you, but please let's not mention council members, staff members by name. And once again, I want to remind people to address the chair, that's me, and not be attacking. I mean, even complimentary. Let's say we've got a couple of council members that we really like. We can say that. These council members have done well, but let's not mention people by name here tonight. We do not want to be attacking people. We don't want to put ourselves at risk for legal action and that sort of stuff either. So let's be very, very careful here. All right. Next name on my list is Valeria Lopez. And again, please state your name, city of residence, and then make your comments.
Good evening. My name is Valeria Lopez. I'm a proud resident of Sunnyside. Some of you may not know, may not recognize me because I've been away attending Gonzaga University. But tonight I'm here because I care deeply about our community and can no longer stay silent. First, I want to extend my congratulations to City Manager on his 6-month milestone of being City Manager. I'm grateful for the outreach, visibility, and dedication he has shown to Sunnyside, and I look forward to seeing how his leadership continues to shape and strengthen our city. However, I must now turn over the matter of deep concern and troubling behavior of recent council members towards our very own staff who work tirelessly to serve the city. It is unacceptable that the city employees have had to file harassment complaints simply to protect themselves from a hostile and discriminatory work environment. I have done my research and spoken with multiple sources, and the pattern is clear that this council member has targeted its staff of color, fostering a workplace culture marked by discrimination, intimidation, and mental distress. This is not just a personal issue, it's a moral failure and leadership crisis. The consequences are already visible. We are a city facing a multi-million-dollar deficit. We cannot afford to waste resources, lose valuable employees or undermine leadership like our city manager, who under enormous pressure secured nearly $1.3 million in state capital funding and support youth groups, and quickly reassured the frightened community that the Sunnyside PD would not cooperate with ICE. Let's not forget, Sunnyside's population is 86.5% Hispanic. It's shocking and honestly shameful that any leader would allow to treat Hispanic or other employees of color with such clear disrespect and hostility. I speak from personal experience. Just 1 year ago, I stood in this very courtroom proclaiming May as Mental Health Awareness Month, only to face discrimination myself when only 2 council members decided to take a picture with me. So believe me when I say, I do not take this lightly, neither should anyone else in this room. This council member appointment must be urgently reconsidered and recalled. No one or no employee, no public servant should be forced to work in a toxic, discriminatory environment. Even more disheartening is the silence of council members who have chosen to stand by and allow this behavior to continue. Many of you were people I looked up to, people I supported during your campaigns, but now you are betraying not only the staff you were elected to support, but the very community you pledged to represent, a community built and sustained by Hispanic families and businesses. I stand here as part of Sunnyside's youth, asking you to think about the future. Think about the young people watching you.
Time is up. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I don't mean to cut people off. I don't like cutting people off, but we've got a lot of people here who want to speak tonight. So next name on my list is Sandra Lindy.
Hello, City Council. We, meaning myself and my husband, has known the interim public works director for many, many years. We've seen the work that he has done in the other city, and he has an excellent reputation. He's a hard worker with high integrity. He is very smart. I agreed with a city council member who made comments in the newspaper that last week's paper about the value he has provided the city. And I understand being cost conscious. I do understand that, but sometimes you can save pennies and lose dollars. The interim public works director is worth every cent you have paid him and more. He's already done great things, and I'm sure we can't get him back, but I certainly wish we could. And I appreciate all the time and effort that people put into the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next is Monica Niemeyer.
Monica Niemeyer, Webster Road, Sunnyside, Washington. Good evening, council, and thank you for giving everyone this time to speak. I would like to start with a quote. Our mission: to achieve equity, political rights, and social inclusion by advancing policies and practices that expand human and civil rights, eliminate discrimination, and accelerate the well-being, education, and economic security of Black people and all persons of color. That is a statement of the organization from the NAACP, an organization that has very much achieved everything in their mission statement and continues to reach for so much more. Now, in comparison, here is another quote. A certain city member should be taken out in the backyard and shot in the head like a pig. That quote is from our current human resource manager, who is the local chapter, or was the local chapter of said NAACP. He stated those words are being taken out of context, misunderstood, and other excuses. I don't know if any of you knew that before you stood up for this. However, there is not excuse. Not one single instance where taking a woman out back and shoot her in the head justifies or solves a problem. Not one. Now, when you then include the context that this came about because the city council member was requesting a public record, a request for information that we all have a right to. So does he think anyone who makes a record request deserves to be shot? Is he truly that careless and that ridiculous with his words? Perhaps he chose that specific term because that is how the city manager refers to this council member. He calls her a disgusting pig. I know this because he has said that to me about this council member on more than one occasion. Going to the media instead of having a conversation is a reason for this breakdown. More has been shared with the news and Facebook followers than to our own council. The respect for communication isn't just breaking down, it is crumbling and it is being stepped over. So I acknowledge this in my part. I myself got caught up in the drama and was pulled away from it. And now I feel it's best to publicly state one thing that I was asked when I was pulled in. After a block watch meeting that I could not attend, there were words from the public and the city manager between Aya and a council member here. He shared a council member here. The city manager and I talked the next day, and he was furious at Aya and this council member. He shared that he talked to a guy in Yakima, and then he knew the head of Aya when she worked for a radio station, and confirmed that the leader of Aya was "quote unquote" a problem. The city manager was told that there was some kind of tape that he wanted to find where it was recorded she was making racist comments.
Seconds.
And there was anyways. So yes, he said that. And to Aya, I'll say this quickly then. To Aya, when you asked me about the Department of Health records, I did not tell you the whole truth. I'm sorry. I apologize. I came to the realization that the information the city manager was asking for, he could obtain himself, and he could have discussions, but he did not. He created drama, created doubts. Perhaps that is why some members of us find ourselves.
Thank you, Ms. Niemeyer.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
I already know you're a liar.
Three, okay, stop. We will clear the room if there is going to be discussion. Okay? No more conversation, please. All comments are directed to the chair, not to each other.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Next name on my list is Britton Moore.
Good evening, Council. Britton Moore, Sunnyside, Washington. The Sunnyside Deputy Clerk was welcomed and praised prior to coming into her new job, a position that needed filling, and work experience with the public that she had was a great plus. She was in the attendance of the department head meeting. She heard what Mr. Brown said, quote, "Take her to the backyard and shoot her in the head like a pig." It troubled her, and she took the matter to our city manager. She expressed her concerns as any good employee would do that has the integrity and high standards and good morals. She was standing up for a fellow citizen of this city. She did not know Councilman Hancock well.
Please
They were not
mention
friends.
names. Please.
Okay. Yet she took the chance to report this with no thought that she would lose her job over it. This employee was let go a short time later via phone within days, as a matter of fact. Can anyone in this room tell me this is not a coincidence? She had only been employed for a very short amount of time. She thought that she was doing the right thing, making a report to her superior about inappropriate conduct made by a department head, of which they are supposed to be an example of proper conduct and fairness. How could anyone ever trust a human resource director that makes such a vile comment about another human being and be trusted by staff in the future? Whether this councilman is friend or foe, a stranger, a person held in high esteem, these attacks are unwarranted. Myself and others for the last several years have been asking council to do their job Monday after Monday and asking them to ask better questions. I have investigated her requests, and they are reasonable requests by citizen or a council member would ask to have answers and clarification to make a sound vote or decision. I ask that this council clear this councilman's name by standing behind her in her requests. I ask that the HR director be removed and put on administrative leave while a further investigation is conducted. I am here tonight to stand up for any and all people being falsely accused of being a racist for simply asking for records requests and trying to do their job. In no way, shape, or form is this fiasco based on racism. It is a divisive and disgusting political play to use the race card. It diminishes cases of true race issues and takes the power away from actual victims. Thank you.
Thank you. Next name on my list is Dr. Jim Stevens.
Jim Stevens, Sunnyside, Washington. There's a prepared item here that I read. I agree with it. I didn't write it myself. And there's some things that go on here. We have people that live in Yakima and have been down here in a couple meetings, and this issue of racism keeps coming up, which is absurd and ridiculous. And I think we're getting tired of it and being held hostage in our community and council with these comments. On May 15th, an investigation was started at the Yakima County Sheriff's Office. This investigation was conducted with interviews of the department head staff. and support staff that were in a meeting at City Hall. A comment was made by Human Resources Director, was said to staff that were in attendance. The comment about one of our council people that she should be taken out in the backyard and shot in the head like a pig. Full investigation was not done. Only 3 people were asked questions. They were all women. The sheriff interviewer did not interview the city manager, staff, police department, staff of public works, or the staff from the fire department, those of whom were all men. The council should ask for an investigation, and a full investigation should be in response. Before this gets further out of hand, before anyone jumps to conclusions that this is a one-sided investigation, before we can label this a chauvinistic investigation also, and also before we can call this an improper investigation. What part of the comment made by the Human Resource Director is off the cuff, as he had mentioned? What part of it sounds funny or was a joke, as he indicated? And what part of the statement is ever okay for a Human Resources Director to say to staff? If this were reversed, and the councilman said this about the HR person, it would be considered a hate crime. They're calling for the city manager to put the administrator on leave until a proper investigation is done. I have to agree that there's no way that this should ever happen by one of the leaders in our community. And we all have, you're all leaders here. Everybody here, you're the board of directors. We have the CEO here. From my perspective, you need to get together and have an intervention. Let's lay it all out on the table. Start talking about these items. This is not just the only item. There are a lot of items on the board that need to be discussed. And you are running the city. This is a big business. And right now we need to get this resolved. And that's going to be the only way it's going to be done. Otherwise, we're going to have hostility among our council members and among our staff people, and we don't want that. So I'd hire somebody outside of government, any place, to come in here and be the core person to have this intervention and have an honest intervention.
10 seconds, sir.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. Next name on my list, Tony Soto.
Hello, council and city manager. My name is Tony Soto and I'm from Sunnyside and I've been here since 1959. I came here to say I do not wish to take a step forward and then I have to take 2 back. So we're going back to the bickering and the arguing and this and that and racism. Stop it. This is the 21st century. We should be ahead of this. We should not be bickering like this. People should not be like this. To me, I am in support of the city manager. That's all I have to tell you.
Thank you. Next name is Deb Estrada.
Honorable Mayor and Council, I come before you, Deb Estrada. I currently reside outside of Seattle. I previously served as your city clerk twice for a cumulative years of 8 years. I have served 4 municipalities in the state of Washington. I have 25 years experience as a city clerk. I've been the city clerk of the year. I've served on the Washington Municipal Clerks Association as an executive board member for more than 8 years. I have a lot of experience with what I'm speaking to. My son was born in Sunnyside. My husband is the son of migrant workers. He started picking cotton at the age of 7 years old. My sons have picked cherries. We expected that of them. My sons have worked side by side baling hay. They've done the hard work. Our oldest son, Councilmember Frausto, I love your bio. Our oldest son graduated from high school the same year you did. He's a triple Husky with a doctor's degree nurse. They work in service. They have served beside me in the cities of Toppenish and Sunnyside at every event I have worked on. Cinco de Mayo, Fiesta de Patrias, the Lighted Implement Parade. My family, my husband and I were bilingual pastors for a mission church in Toppenish. We have served side by side with the people of the valley for years. I live on the west side because my grandchild is over there and my sons work over there, and I'm caring for my elderly parents. I continue to support Sunnyside. I continue to support every city clerk in the state of Washington that reaches out to me for support, and I mentor them. That's what I do. That's my commitment to my profession. I continue to stay in contact with employees past and present in Sunnyside. And the number of people that have come forward to me and shared their tears, their anger, their fear, no city employee should ever work under fear. The finger pointing, the wagging in the face, the profanity at City Hall, the ugliness that they deal with, it's unheard of. I work with city clerks all across the state of Washington. Sunnyside is the only place that I have experienced this. My husband would be here tonight and he'd be translating for me, although I'm pretty darn good at Spanish, as are my children. That's how we raised them. We are servants. We raised servants. Listen to the truth. I've been online. I've seen everything that's out there. What is being pushed out there is not true. Many of you know me. You know me. You know how I work. You know my ethics. Do your homework. Follow the law. The public records alone is astonishing.
Okay.
How many seconds do I have left?
None.
None?
Yeah, the timer just went off.
Well, nobody gave me a 30-second. Do I get 30 more seconds?
Council, any objection?
No objection.
No objection from council.
Okay, I would just like to say as regards to public records, 25 years experience. I have never worked for a city, nor have I supported or worked with any other city clerk in the state of Washington or public records officer or certified records officer that has ever said no to a city council member's request for information or records. The fact that we are not providing information to council members at Sunnyside is in complete opposition to what the public records is about. You didn't need to close City Hall. Records can be provided in installments. Records can be provided in a timely manner. You were made to believe something different. Do your homework. Understand the Public Records Act. If you don't know, call me, email me. I'd gladly mentor you, share information with you, connect you with other city clerks.
Thank you. Next name on my list is Kenton Gartrell.
Ken Gartrell, Yakima County. I'm here to speak on quoting an RCW. Washington State Whistleblower Protection Law, RCW 4240, during the process of which an employee of yours actually gave a case number 25S03698, stating the conduct of another member of your staff. That member of your staff was, quote, saying a certain city council member should be taken out in the backyard and shot in the head like a pig. By the way, I have over 80 pigs, so I know what this exactly means. I am very much aware of how it's conducted. I conduct it myself in my backyard, actually. So that being said, I have sent you an email. I am asking that the council take action, not in an executive session, because that would be illegal, but to discuss it in an executive session, come out and take action. Your HR manager violated the Whistleblower Act. I am not saying that your city manager, your HR manager, your city manager, I think it's a mistake to target the city manager. I think your HR manager is a problem. And when he goes to the news and starts doing these insubordinate actions, which is insubordination, and by the way, the layoff happened after the whistleblowing. You can also go to Franklin County and you will find that this HR manager has case records of having the same unfounded problems in Franklin County. You could even take it a step further and go down to Prosser, where he was a fruit warehouse manager, in which every time he had a problem, he went running and saying, oh, this person's racist. when it has nothing to do with race, has to do with his statement, which he does not deny. He just says it was a joke. Look, I'm not saying he's a violent threat. I'm not saying he's going to violently threaten anybody. However, what he said is clear insubordination. He should be put on administrative leave. Mistakes were made. Put him on an administrative leave. It could be paid. You could pay him on administrative leave, just like you would do a cop. I don't care if he's paid or not paid, but it needs to be taken care of, and it needs to be handled in an appropriate manner according to the law of which I've already emailed you. I also conducted a public records request of all the emails that were sent to you.
30 seconds, sir.
In those emails that were sent to you, almost every one of the people that sent an email trying to defend this HR manager was a member of AIA and tied to a certain council member on Facebook posts, which was all done within a 24-hour blitz, which can all, again, be found through the mayor's public records request. Sorry, not the mayor, through the council's public records requests. I encourage you to open an investigation and talk to the sheriffs.
5 seconds. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next name on my list, please. No applause. Name on my list is Mike. Mike, I'm going to save you to the end.
Yep.
Teodoro Martinez.
There she is.
Hello, City Council. My name is Teodoro Martinez, and I live outside of Sunnyside, which is part of the port of Sunnyside. And I've lived there for over 30 years. And I am a mental health professional. That's my work. Anyway, I'm here tonight because I wanted to point something out. When I was hearing some of the comments that was happening in the community, I thought, oh my gosh, this sounds like a power and control thing. And the reason I say power and control is because that's one of the things I do with my clients. We talk about who's got the power and who are they trying to control, right? It's not necessarily a racist thing, but I do know, this is another thing I tell my clients, is that it's not what's wrong with you, it's what happened to you. In other words, from the moment you were born, how were you raised? What ideas were put in your head? So forth and so on. Now, when I went to school in the 60s, because I started school in 60 something. And my legal name wasn't used. And that's the funny thing. You all know me as Teodora. If you were to go to my high school, they wouldn't know who you're talking about. And Dean, you know that because we went to the same school. What name did I use in high school?
You were Nancy.
And Nancy was never on my birth certificate. Now that's just an example of white privilege, right? My teacher was white. And so as we went on through history, some of you may not know this, but because a lot of our Caucasian neighbors were raised in a certain way, when people say, well, I don't understand what white privilege is. Well, it's when you think you have more power over others and you try to control them. So tonight I brought copies of the Workplace Power and Control Bill. So I'd love to share that with you guys if you guys want it.
And that to the manager, please. Or
There you go. There should be enough copies, please. And I just want to point out a few things, just so you know. Using intimidation, making workers feel uncomfortable or afraid by using looks, actions, gestures, sometimes even smashing things or destroying property. Using emotional abuse, putting workers down, making workers feel bad about themselves, name calling, making workers think they are crazy, playing mind games, humiliating workers, making workers feel guilty. I'm not going to read all of them. I'm just going to point some things out.
yeah, you're at 30 seconds.
Okay. Well, she got extra 30. That's not fair. I'm not done. Just like she wasn't done, I'm not
I
done.
got to tell her she had 30 seconds left.
Making light of abuse is not taking concerns about it. Okay. Using others, threatening layoffs or closure, using coworkers to relay messages from management to the targets, not responding to the mobbing complaints, not
5
addressing
seconds.
the client. And then, of course, threatening to terminate and or reduce their pay or reimburse the targets, threatens their actions to
thank you.
damage reputations and so forth. Just wanted to point that out.
All right. And thank you for the documentation. We can read that. Next name on my list is Raquel Izquierdo Lopez.
Good evening, council members. My name is Raquel Izquierdo Lopez. I live on Crescent Road here in Sunnyside. The last council meeting that I came to was the first one I've attended in a long time. While I came hoping to see productive dialogue and leadership, I left feeling deeply disappointed. What stood out to me and to many others I've spoken with was the way a certain council member singled out the city manager. In my view, the city manager has accomplished a great deal in a short period of time and has brought a much needed energy and responsiveness to our city government. Excuse me. More troubling, however, are the ongoing concerns I've heard from community members about a certain council member's behavior. Several people have privately shared with me their firsthand experience of what they would describe as incidents of questionable conduct. Sadly, they're too afraid to speak up publicly out of fear of retaliation. That in itself is unacceptable. Additionally, after attending the meeting, I looked into public comments on social media, and it's clear I'm not alone in noticing a troubling pattern of behavior. This is not just about one meeting or one moment. It's about the conduct of someone who holds a position of trust and responsibility in our community, like all of you guys do. We deserve a council that leads by example, that treats our city staff and residents with fairness and dignity, that it lifts rather than divides. This kind of behavior should never be tolerated, especially from someone who was elected to represent us all. On social media, a statement was made that the city manager sets the tone, but how can he if you don't let him breathe? I encourage you all to do better. Thank you.
Thank you. And I do want to remind people that you're addressing the chair, you're addressing the council, you're not addressing the audience when you're here. So stop. Let's stop it before it starts. Next name on my list is Chelsea Demas.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chelsea Demas. I live on Lincoln Avenue in Sunnyside. Enough is enough. Since the rushed and unvetted appointment of the council member representing District 1 in March, without interviews, community input, or any kind of formal process, our city council has spiraled into dysfunction. What should have been a step forward has instead fueled division, chaos, and deep harm. I've heard from multiple community members who have dealt with this council member in different capacities, on the council, through her former business, the Funny Farm, and in other community spaces. And the pattern is clear: outright discrimination and hostility. Several shared their stories with me privately because they're afraid to speak out publicly, fearing retaliation. Their fear is real and it's justified. The council member has a pattern of weaponizing her position to intimidate, discriminate, and silence others, particularly people of color. Since her appointment, the council member has unleashed a relentless wave of aggression, dozens of hostile emails and texts to staff, over 60 public records requests, not in the spirit of transparency, but as tools of harassment. This behavior has forced our city to shut down City Hall just to keep up with the chaos she creates. This isn't governance. It's one person wrecking ball, tearing through our public institutions. City employees have filed multiple complaints against her for discriminatory behavior and creating a hostile work environment. Many of these complaints come from staff of color who now report mental distress, declining health, and a toxic workplace. These are our public servants, people who show up every day to serve the community, and they deserve better. The situation has escalated so severely that there is now a protection order in place against the council member to safeguard a city worker. Let that sink in. A council member who poses such a threat to city staff that legal protection was necessary. Meanwhile, our city is staring down a multi-million-dollar deficit. We cannot afford to wait precious resources defending against harassment, losing experienced staff, or covering legal costs tied to one person's destructive behavior. City Council, it's time to do what's right. Stand with our city workers, stand with our community, end the harm. Recall the appointment of this council member immediately. Thank you.
Thank you. Next name on my list, Maria Fernandez.
Maria Fernandez with A, and our offices are located here on 6th Street.
Well, it's just amazing and astonishing to sit there and have to listen to over and over again so much conjecture, so many lies, so many people making statements as though there are facts. Even in regards to the human resource person, that investigation being closed by the authorities that were investigating it absolutely says nothing to them. The other thing that I take umbrage with is the fact that you have a white community coming to this council making public statements about racism does not exist. White folks do not get to determine whether or not racism exists within communities of color, period. Now, if there were any other case, then the ACLU would have not won its case with us against the Sunnyside School District, where we had to overwhelmingly prove that racism exists in this city. Now, whether or not you guys don't want to admit that, because you can't talk about y'all's sins here with the city. I mean, that's a different thing, but coming up here and basically trying to speak for communities of color, that's just a load of BS. Second of all,
I'm sorry,
what was inappropriate?
the
No,
language.
no. So again, cutting off a person of color because y'all don't want to hear the truth about our communities.
I'm
So,
sorry.
yeah, point of order to the community that is interrupting.
Ms. Fernandez, please. We'll stop the timer for you for just a second here. Let me reread slanderous remarks. Anybody making impertinent or
Tell me what the
slanderous
slanderous
remarks or who
remark
shall
is.
become boisterous while addressing the council may be requested to leave.
What
People
was the
are
slanderous remark?
objecting, madam, to your comments.
Oh,
I would
of
ask
course
that
they're going
you
to object to racism, being
No.
called out about racism. Of course they
I
are.
ask that you temper your
Should I-
comments, please.
Should I remind y'all that we
Yes.
also live in the United States where we have the First Amendment right to expression that includes within city council meetings?
I'm asking you to temper your comments, please. We're getting objection from both audience and council members. I am
From the
asking,
same folks that don't believe that racism exists here.
no one is denying
So
that.
can we take a poll as the people of color in this room that believe that racism exists
No.
here?
We are not taking a poll, Ms. Fernandez.
Can you just let her finish?
Yeah.
Okay, we are going
You
to,
were bullying Monica when you were up here and you were.
all right. This is your last warning, Ms. Fernandez and Ms. Niemeyer. This is not a conversation between speakers and audience members. You are addressing the chair. We understand racism exists. We all know that it does.
There you go.
Okay? Please,
I'm pointing it out.
let's not become impertinent in our
I'm
comments.
going to
Temper
reiterate,
your comments. I'm asking you that this is your last warning, Ms. Fernandez.
I'm also not going to be censored in a public meeting when I am not making any threats to anybody. Mayor,
I'm asking you to temper your remarks like every other adult is asked to do.
I'm going to express myself because I've been given the right to express myself as a U.S. citizen.
This was. Please do not be offensive. We understand what you're saying.
Everything I would say is going to be offensive to the people who don't want Aya in the room. Okay, that's the bottom line. That is the bottom line. So Aya's name was spoken out at this podium. Aya has the right to defend itself. Period. Period. So
Mary, this isn't a place of democracy. It's a public comment.
yeah, so I should be allowed to make my public comment without
Fernandez, is that what you're
interruption.
I'm sorry, Ms. Fernandez, you are,
She is interrupting and you're allowing that to happen?
Oh, Robert.
it was a point of order. It is to do with Robert's Rules of Orders and anyone is entitled for that to make, okay?
And point of
I have
order.
asked you to not be offensive in your speaking and to temper
And
your
that is
speaking.
not
I
happening.
also gave you the last warning. I am asking you now to step down from the podium so that we can continue our meeting. Thank you.
Racism exists.
It does exist. We do not deny that at all. All right. And Mr. Gonzalez, did you want to make your comments or did you want to save that for later?
No, I would like to make my comment.
All right, Mr. Gonzalez would like to make a comment as well. Please speak into the microphone. Miss
How is
Estrada.
City manager gets to speak under public comment.
Because I am a resident of this community.
Well, you-
That is, and I.
Okay, Mr. Gonzalez.
You have. a
Mr.
res-
Gonzalez.
Employee of the city, you are the city manager. You do not get
Thank you, Miss Estrada.
comments.
Thank you, Miss Estrada. Please sit. All right, council, is there any objection to Mr. Gonzalez making a comment this time, or would we like to have him wait until the
I make an objection. I object.
You object?
I think we should have it.
Okay, Miss Estrada, please.
Excuse me. I would just like to say, I think we would rather have you make your remarks later on in the meeting, please.
I think so too. Let's wait till later on in the meeting.
And understand, but I think that it would be better to do this at a calmer moment later in the meeting. Is that
Will do.
that
Absolutely.
fine with you, Mayor, Council?
Council? I think
agree.
so too. This is an emotionally charged enough meeting as it is. And I understand Mr. Gonzalez wants to defend his position. Mr. Gonzalez, you will have an opportunity to speak, but
Absolutely.
we're going to let
Respect the board and
we're going to let some time elapse and let all the emotions calm down, but hopefully let them calm down.
thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda, discussion and action items, municipal legal services contract with Ogden Murphy Wallace. To approve a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement for municipal legal services with Ogden Murphy Wallace PLLC. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and forgive me, my computer is kind of on the fritz tonight. I think it's a little warm in here. But this is something we bring back to the board during this session, which is intended to be a workshop. But the new firm that we'd like to hire with staff's recommendation is Ogden Murphy Wallace. The board asked us to bring back some additional information in terms of the specific costs and the specific budgeting that has taken place over the last couple of years. So I'm going to rely on Kelly. Hope she has got some of her paperwork and some of the information that I've sent. But we budget a little over $1 million a year for our court services that include prosecution services, indigent defense, and also for municipal services. In 2024, 2025, we budgeted $105,000 for municipal services. I am recommending that we increase that amount to $144,000. And I wanted to over budget just a little bit, just so we have a bit of a cushion. It certainly has been a busy year for our legal services. Ogden Murphy Wallace is a little bit more than we're used to paying when in terms of what Ben Riley used to charge us. But the thing I really like about them is they're a full service shop. They can work on CBAs with us. They can provide municipal services. They're very familiar with WCIA, our insurance provider. So from a multi-level one-stop shop, I think that's what we really need. Just the volume that we have and the different bargaining units that we have, because what a lot of folks don't know about the city of Sunnyside is close to 90% of our employees are in a union. So that makes it pretty complex when you're dealing with employee issues and collective bargaining agreements, and then the way that we really have to deal with employees. And, there's certain provisions and steps you have to take in terms of management and punitive measures. And, and I think a group like Ogden Murphy Wallace could really be what we need in terms of, organizing and keeping everything in one specific place. So that's the recommendation. The other one was, it was a full RFP process, just full disclosure to the public. We did put it out for an RFP. Smith Malik was the other firm that wound up also submitting an RFP. The tricky thing about them is their offices actually reside in Boise. So they would be doing everything remotely, as is Ogden Murphy. But to me, it's about accessibility. Ogden Murphy Wallace does have the ability, and they can come to executive sessions in person, which I do think makes a real difference. I had a good conversation with Smith Malik, and they even agreed, if they wanted to do some one-offs with an MOU, they would be willing to do that. And it's always good to have another group in the pocket if you need somebody to do something in a pinch. So so that's really with just kind of from memory, because we did research it pretty extensively, but I think staff was really comfortable with them. And I know Quinn Plant has a relationship with a lot of the folks in that firm. So, we talked a little bit about it, his comfort with them. So that's our recommendation as a staff, and just wanted to bring that forward and really start working with this firm ASAP, because we do have a lot of work ahead of us.
Thank you. And for the benefit of the audience, Mr. Plant has graciously agreed to serve as an interim city attorney, but that contract has come to an end. I think we overworked him. He has been very busy. And so, yeah, the goal has been to find a permanent replacement for our previous city attorney who left to go work for Benton County. So that's what this is all about. Council, any questions for the manager on this item?
Was Kelly gonna have?
Yeah, Kelly, were you going to share with us the budget?
Yeah, I was willing and happy to share the budget information, but Mike was able to provide that information for you. Any budget information that you also need at any time is made available in the April income statement, which was delivered at the last council meeting. So anytime you have budget questions, please feel to refer back to the income statement. Every budget line item is in there. And always come and talk to me, email me, call me if you have questions or concerns about any budget item.
Okay, so just to reiterate then, we have currently budgeted for city attorney 105,000, and you're proposing an increase to 144,000. So are you asking for a budget amendment?
I mean, at this point, no, but I wanted to kind of give a look ahead to, really what my thoughts are as we head into 26. I mean, I think we'll be fine. And, if we do need some extra funds out of that line item, we can come back to the board. But I think the way that municipal services are going, it just keeps getting more expensive every single year. And I think we were a bit spoiled with Ben Riley, because I think he charged like $250, $275 an hour, which kind of seems like a bargain these days. I mean, it's pretty much everything's over $300 an hour. And, even, gosh, if I'm remembering correctly, a paralegal right now is close to $125 an hour. So, I mean, legal services are really expensive, and municipal lawyers are really difficult to find. So, as we head into 26 and we start, it's more of a preparation phase for 26 to kind of think about, how we're going to have to shift some of those. So.
Okay. Council, any other questions for manager? Mrs. Hart?
I'm just thinking, so what you're looking towards then with the change from 105 to 144 is that's what you're going to be budgeting for the coming year, 2026?
Yes, ma'am.
So right now we're looking at being able to finish the year at 105.
That is my hope, but
yes. Since we are already in the month of May, part of the year has already expired. And so I believe that we'll be able to finish out the year with the amount that was budgeted in the 2025 budget. However, as we move into the 2026 budget, that's definitely going to be a line item for discussion. And I believe will require some additional resources just because of the amount of services that the city of Sunnyside requires.
All right, Councilor Ripley.
Thank you. Yeah, so Ogden Murphy Wallace, are they located in Seattle and Wenatchee?
So the council, they have two offices, one in Wenatchee, then one in Seattle is sort of their main branch. And
Are they going to come here every time? Does that cost extra to come here? Or are they going to be Zoom all the time, or how's that going to work?
it just depends. They're willing to come in person, but that's going to be an extra cost. You're going to have to pay for drive time, and then
How much is that,
I don't know the exact figure on that, but yeah,
I thought that's what I saw on the.
yeah, because I know they split
an hour.
They split the drive time in half, and their main attorney is over $300. So I mean, you're looking at roughly $150 to drive. The thing we talked about was being selective on the meetings just to save money, because every time, I love Quinn, but every time he sits here, it costs him, it costs a hefty penny. So we're looking at quite a bit for a 3-hour meeting. That's $750, maybe more. So you do that times 4. So our thought was to be selective on the meetings that she attends, and then also do it by Zoom, because Zoom is pretty. I mean, I think we've all. I mean, what's the thoughts on? That's something I wanted to address. Zoom is pretty effective for lawyers for the most part. I mean, I know when I dealt with Ben Riley or when Quinn and I talk during the day, it's always by the phone or Zoom. So in 2025, Zoom is just as effective. I mean, even I think we've seen over this year, even executive sessions via Zoom are pretty effective. So I think that's the nice thing. And that's really what I'm finding, even during my time as the Franklin County Administrator, we started utilizing lawyers from across the state as defense attorneys because there was such a crunch, and we had the technology to Zoom people right into courtrooms and things of that nature. So I would say the legal profession is really evolving into something that's becoming more technological because there's simply not the volume anymore in terms of the number of attorneys available. So and I think the nice thing too, Ogden Murphy Wallace, they work with Mapton, they work with Wapato. So they understand the valley. They're in town, quite often. And so I think from that perspective, they kind of understand, what we're going through and the challenges we face as a small city.
Okay, and then Smith and Malik, you said that they were from Idaho. It says here that they have an office in Tri-Cities.
Yeah, and that's kind of like a satellite office. That when I talked to both of them, both attorneys who submitted the RFP are out of Idaho, Boise area, and they expressed to me that they would have to drive in. They were willing, but it's a 7-hour drive, and they would only commit to Zoom. And while they were licensed in Washington, they weren't as familiar with WCIA and sort of the workings of Washington law. I think with Ogden Murphy Wallace, you get seasoned attorneys who have worked at cities and are really familiar with our public records laws. So, I don't know, Kelly, you were in the interview process. I don't know if you want to add anything.
I think one of the reasons that we really liked Ogden Murphy is because they can provide multiple services for the city of Sunnyside. They can not only help us with contract review, they can help us with employment issues. They can also help us with the collective bargaining units, which a lot of those items we are having to deal with different attorneys because of different specialties. And that does make it really difficult when you're having to arrange schedules for 4 different attorney firms in order to cover one collective bargaining unit and for them to be able to do everything under one umbrella. I felt like would be very effective and we could possibly have some cost savings there because there wouldn't be duplicated services from different attorney offices. So I really like them. I felt like they were really familiar with not just the law, but also with municipalities and government, which is a pretty niche little portion of the attorney world out there. There's a lot of people that have experience in corporate areas, but when you try to find somebody with experience in governmental entities and agencies, that can be difficult to do. So that was the reason I felt like they were heads and shoulders above the other candidates.
Okay, Counselor Hancock, I know that you're on Zoom. I can't imagine you don't have a question. So do you have anything to add?
The only thing I want to add is we currently are covered with Quinn Plant and Menke Jackson, Fire and Ellis. I would want to make sure, I don't think tonight is the time that we have to make this decision. I think we can wait until the next full city council meeting to do this. I would like to table it until the next full true city council meeting.
Okay, let's sit on that for a second. Counselor Vasquez.
Yes, so I have a question regarding to Kelly's comment. So you said with Ogden Murphy that they'd be able to also provide services to other specialties, right? So my question would be, if we were to do that, would we be paying more with Ogden Murphy or would it be less? Like just an idea, because then I would be interested to see then the other city attorneys' specialties pay per hour.
So as far as a breakdown of the cost, attorney services, we don't know what we're going to need additional attorney services for. We do have items now that are time sensitive, so we do need to have somebody in place quickly. But I wouldn't say that somebody that is going to deal with a contract review is going to charge a different price than somebody that is going to be dealing with a collective bargaining unit. The amount that we're charged is going to be based on how frequently we use their services, and that really is undetermined at the moment. We don't know what lies ahead as far as additional legal issues that we may need to have them take on for us.
And Mayor, if I may, I'll go.
Counselor Hart.
One of the things in regards to Counselor Hancock, we are not making a decision tonight whether or not to approve one of these attorney.
Actually, we are.
Are we?
Yeah, we moved to
decided
take
that last
action.
week.
That was cited at the last meeting. You weren't here.
Yeah.
I must have overread that, but in regards to that, I guess I was just approving the contract and the resolution is I think where we are I'm a little bit foggy on that, because you just said, we don't know exactly how much, what the percentage will be for collective bargaining or in court or defending us in other litigation. So that all just comes under that $105,000.
And I can lend some context.
Go ahead, Mr. Gonzalez.
And Counselor Vasquez. So to kind of put things into perspective, legal services, I mean, it's a moving target. So right now we've got 4 collective bargaining agreements that we're working on. One with Tony Mankey from Mankey Jackson. We wound up splitting up that service with Summit Law and Evan Chin to do a contract with the commanders and then also code enforcement, then break it up. So we did 2 and 2. Then we have Quinn, who works on municipal services. And I'll say the variables of a collective bargaining agreement, like, we can come to the table like on a Saturday, a couple Saturdays ago, we spent 8 hours at the fire station, hashing it out, and we still have several hours to go. And, depending on where we hit a roadblock there. So it's hard to put a number to say, how much, how many legal services are you going to need? I was talking to Quinn today about a case, the Gutierrez case, that, we're doing different types of work on that. We've got, other things that we're working on with WCIA, who covers different legal aspects for us. So it definitely is a moving target. But I think overall, what we would like to do, what this will give us is the opportunity. Like, is Tony available? No, he's on vacation. So this is like real world scenarios. Tony's on vacation, so that bargaining stops. Evan picks it up here. I'm calling Quinn. It would be great to have a one-stop shop is what they're promising us, is this place where we have our CBA lawyer. We have the municipal lawyer. We have somebody that's an expert at public records. So to call one shop will be very helpful for us. Because right now, just because of the volume of attorneys that are available across Washington State, it's really challenging. So my hope is it really gets us much more organized, like in terms of like, okay, we're going to one person all the time. I kind of, I can only, maybe the akin is like, we're going to Walmart just to shop all the time. It's one space, we could get our groceries, we can get something for the garage, and then, we can get some cleaning supplies. So, and that's helpful rather than having to run to the grocery store, to the Ace Hardware, and, because that's what I feel like we're doing right now is we have all these disparate parts that we're trying to catch up with, and, And Quinn, he's only got so much longer, and I really want to get to work with this group, and I think he would appreciate it too, because he's really done us a solid, and I truly appreciate what Quinn has done for us as a favor. But I think it's a disservice to Quinn that we keep continuing to ask him to go above and beyond even what he's promised.
Mayor?
Go ahead, Ms. Ripley.
I'd like to make a motion that we move this to the next meeting.
Okay, we have a motion to move
Second.
this to the next meeting.
Second.
We got a second by Counselor Hancock. All right, motion by Counselor Ripley, second by Counselor Hancock to move this item to the next meeting for approval. Is there debate on this? Mr. Deputy Mayor?
I just don't see the need to wait. The staff already has a lot to do at City Hall. And Quinn, he's doing us a solid by sticking around. So I don't see the need to wait 2 more weeks or another week. We have everything in front of us. We have the numbers we requested from last meeting. I don't know if there's any other questions that Councilor Hancock has regarding this or Councilor Ripley, but I definitely see the need to act on this. We don't want to lose the opportunity to work with Ogden, Murphy, Wallace. You never know. Other cities could snatch them up and they don't have any more time for us. So,
okay. Further comments, Ms. Hart?
I agree with the deputy mayor. I think we should move ahead with this. I see no need to table it. The numbers are here. The information has been well laid out. I think we move ahead with the vote to approve the contract
Okay.
resolution.
Other comments?
I concur.
Okay, so we got a motion on the table, or motion before us to table this particular item. A yes vote is in favor of tabling, a no vote is against tabling and moving forward. So I'm going to go down the list. Counselor Hancock, yes or no?
Yes.
Counselor Hart?
No.
Counselor Frausto?
No.
Counselor Ripley?
Yes.
Counselor Vasquez?
No.
Deputy Mayor?
no.
And I too vote no. Motion fails. We move forward. All right. So we have before us a resolution requested by staff to approve the resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement for municipal legal services with Ogden Murphy Wallace PLLC. What is the desire of council on this item?
Move to approve.
A second.
I'm glad you read all that.
All right. So I'm not going to read it again. We got a motion by Councilor Hart, second by the Deputy Mayor. Is there debate on this item?
No debate, but I have a comment.
Yes.
Like, let's say worst comes to come and we do want them to be here present every meeting. Would that be something that they would have the capacity to do?
Absolutely. And Julie, the head attorney, said she would, if that's our desire,
Mhm.
she would absolutely be willing to come.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
Further debate on this item? All right. Going up the list, Councilor Hancock,
Yes.
Councilor Ripley,
Yes.
Councilor Frausto,
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez,
Yes.
Councilor Hart,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor.
Yes.
I too vote yes, motion passes. All right, next item on the agenda, temporary vendors discussion. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I'm going to have to, I think if Jafet's here, if he could help me out with my computer, I'm going to make that request, but I'm going kind of on the fly here. So the temporary vendor issue is something, it's been ongoing over the years. We've seen temporary vendors, particularly during holidays, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, those type of things where they'll set up in a parking lot, often a private parking lot in a business, and they're not getting the temporary permit. So that is something that I asked staff to look into, and you were provided with something that Hector Mejia, our Deputy Public Works Director, has been working on, along with code enforcement and Corey Taylor from our business building department. So I'm going to have Hector come up, and both men are here tonight to talk a little bit about what they've been working on. Corey's perspective, having been on the ground, and then because he also is managing code enforcement now too with that staff. So and then ultimately what they're trying to achieve with this. And I brought this to council a couple of months ago because I had a community member reach out to me, and she said upwards of 14 temporary vendors were parked along various spots along Yakima Valley Highway. So did they have permits? Were they able to do this? And were we missing out on revenue? I'd say anecdotally, revenue wise, it's not going to be a tremendous boon to the city. It just really is about, the perception and what is the look of the city when you drive in on a Sunday, and there's a lot of vendors. I think in Sunnyside, we acknowledge, culturally, this is part of our culture. People, working the stands and, people getting a great deal. So I think that's part of the culture that we're proud of. And, I don't think any of these folks are criminals or anything like that, but, how do we manage it and, before we regulate on them. So with that being said, I'll send it to Hector and Corey.
Mr. Mejia.
Good afternoon, council members. So yes, Corey Taylor and myself have been working on this draft that we have brought to you guys, in front of you guys on the packet. Obviously, 15 or chapter 5.21. There's many things on here, obviously the standards of operations, standards of vendor types, identification standards tables, fees, exemptions, and violations. If we look on the ordinance that is now, the ordinance that we have in place right now does not really describe on what we are going to be, our main objective is. We would like to visit the draft, obviously the ordinance that we are bringing to you guys. That way we can give our code enforcer a direction on where we're going and how we can approach people, obviously with this ongoing issue and ways that. So if you had the chance to read it, I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, council members, any questions for Mr. Mejia? Ms. Ripley.
Does the health district visit these?
I believe so, correct.
The food vendors are regulated by health department as well.
Even the little ones that have the fruit and stuff, the carts?
I believe
Those also?
in any consumable that's being sold is regulation of the health department as well.
And how often does the health department come around?
I'm not sure. We don't have jurisdiction over their licensing program.
And each one of those little carts pays a permit, huh?
For the most part, the hard part about our previous ordinance is it was like back in 2003. We've had a lot of new vendors come out. We didn't have the pop-ups back then. There's a lot of changes, and that's why we're needing to update our ordinance so we can classify the different and regulate them, per the vendor itself. Because right now everybody's just a mobile vendor. It falls in this one big bucket, and they're very hard to regulate.
Okay. Other questions? Mr. Deputy Mayor.
So I don't mean to put more on your plate, but you're addressing chapter 5.21, mobile vendors and vending stands. But what about chapter 5.20, temporary businesses? Wouldn't they be considered like temporary business in a way?
That will be probably one of the next ones. Or a lot of our vending stuff, but we got a lot of ordinances that need to be updated and reviewed. And that's where we'd like your guys' guidance as well as to, what's your priorities? Let's see what direction we need to go so we can get those, start getting them regulated properly.
Okay.
Nobody else?
Go ahead.
No one else, Ms. Hart.
Yeah, I appreciate you going and examining the vendors first. We know that there's a lot of businesses out there who are kind of popping up, and we need to keep check on them to make sure they have their business licenses. But you can see the vendors. You can see the vendors along Yakima Valley Highway, Lincoln Avenue, out on Walmart, Juanita Road. I mean, they're all over the place. And so it's really important to be able to know that they're following our ordinances and the permits, having the proper permits. As I understand it, all of the food handlers that actually handle food, whether it's produce or on the stands, or if it's tacos out of the back of a little truck, those all are covered by the health district, which I think they have to go through a yearly recertification And they have health, when we have special events in town, I'm sure you all that have been out there and bought tacos at street fairs, each one of those people also fall under that vendor
Yeah, the help
permitting and health permits.
will make random inspections at like Cinco de Mayo. They'll go through and
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the work that's been done on this. I know that it's been a concern for quite a while. As you said, there's been a lot more work in bringing forth vendors coming in and setting up. So,
Ms. Frausto.
Oh, I appreciate this because I know that we've been having a conversation about developing a framework because it's been non-existent. And I think we had this conversation the last time of, these folks are also trying to make a living. So how can we establish process for that, right? We're always in the middle of process improvement. A question and also a recommendation is the outreach that's going to be done around this temporary vendor permitting process, and how maybe us as council can even help do some of that outreach. I know Councilor Vasquez is very passionate about helping monolingual business owners through the permitting process. So just to make sure we don't lose gist of that, especially because a lot of these folks that do post up at corners throughout the community are monolingual speakers, and we want to make sure that we're helping them do this the right way. And by doing so, we have to make sure we're spreading out this information, as efficiently as we can.
yeah, and that can definitely be addressed through the process of adoption here. We can discuss it 100% is what I'm hoping before we actually get out there and go with it. So.
Yeah.
And just to comment on Ms. Frausto's statement there, as far as the training, I know the folks who are putting on the farmers market starting in July are currently offering training to their vendors, and I know they are bilingual and they're offering that training in English and Spanish. So I spoke to them personally. They are very committed to doing that as well. So that is a resource that we might be able to have, is those folks that are put on the farmers market, at least during the course of this summer, because it sounds like she's more than willing to jump on that.
Yeah.
And this one is in the right direction on how we want our code enforcement to lead everybody else that belongs on this process.
Yeah. And I too just want to say thank you for just bringing this to us as well. And the fact that we do need to update a lot of these things that are already in place. So we will definitely be working on that. And to comment on Councilor Frausto's, I agree, and I will be helping. I actually made a phone call to the Department of Health seeking for a training and to bring something here to Sunnyside. So I'll be helping with that, and I'll also work with you when we could get working on that together to provide something for our community, because that way everyone has the equal chance to also sell.
Okay, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Also thank you for bringing this, and hopefully we can work together to come up with something that works, right? Most of the time we put laws or SMCs on the books that we don't even enforce, and they just start, going through the cracks. So definitely, I don't want to see, like viral videos where, you guys go out there and start throwing everything out, in the trash. I support, any entrepreneur that wants to do something, but let's make sure that there is a process that they follow. There is some sort of training like Councilor Frausto and Councilor Vasquez want to do, and I fully support that. Another idea would be to maybe train the people. I know there's businesses in town that help these businesses, get their businesses. So they need to be educated as well. So maybe, come up with something in those regards. But definitely something that needs to be addressed. Let's make it happen.
Go ahead, Ms. Hart.
I just was thinking, in another couple of weeks, we're going to be doing the 4th of July. celebration, and we always have, well, in recent years, we've been very fortunate to be able to have vendors inside the football field, and they each have to have a permit. They each have to be inspected by the health inspector, who makes a regular trips through there. And I just noticed that you can't park any closer than 400 feet to the school property line, which creates a little bit of a problem, but we're all enclosed, so maybe we can, except for special occasions, maybe. I don't know.
Well, if you look at that, what you're speaking of would be like a concessionaire vendor. That would be
Yeah.
during the football games and stuff.
Yeah.
Those are included at, the 400 feet would be like a taco vendor truck or.
Yeah, well, I want to keep them inside the football field so they come in, spend their money, leave their money.
And those are included in this proposed ordinance as a concessionaire vendor.
But they do have
Thank
to have
you.
their food handlers permit.
Yes, and we're insistent upon that. So yes, thank you.
All right, further comments on this item?
No, just thank you.
Counselor Hancock, have you got anything to comment on this item? It's easy to forget you in the Zoom meeting.
No, I'm fine.
Okay, thank you guys for your work on that. Look forward to moving forward with that. So, all right, the next item on the agenda, item C, dog breeding ban discussion. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this evening, staff brings forward a proposal and really a discussion to strengthen and modernize our dog breeding ordinance to better address two ongoing challenges in Sunnyside: backyard breeding and the welfare of animals in our community. Sunnyside has become known as a destination where stray and unwanted dogs are often abandoned. We lack a regional shelter, and our animal control position at this point remains vacant, not because we don't see its value, but because enforcement without viable housing options has presented a real logistical and financial obstacle for us. The proposal, it really outlines what I envision, again, more of the 2026 budget, as this is really a discussion item and we don't have that ACO officer. If you have that FTE, that's minimum 70 grand in salary plus benefits. Then other line items that can potentially be a part of the equation. And what I outlined in the agenda packet was really some ordinances on page 2 in adjacent cities, a link to our dog control in chapter 6.04. And we adopted several provisions of the RCW. So provided Yakima also has their own ordinances that they try to enforce. So it's really it's a complex issue. Enforcement is an issue. If you don't have an animal control officer and you don't have a place to bring the animals, it just kind of raises the complexity. I was talking to some colleagues in a neighboring city, and they're facing a lot of the same challenges we are. They can collect the dogs and cats, and we simply don't have a place to put them. The third page, we did a real SWOT analysis of the strengths and weaknesses of our current system, which is largely adopted from the RCW codes. We do align with the state standards. That's something that our ordinance is built on. I think some of the opportunities for improvement, lack of local licensing and permitting. We don't have any requirements for dog breeders to register. We can enhance our inspection protocols, but again, that takes personnel. Unclear enforcement mechanisms, no shelter or housing. Yakima County lacks sufficient shelter space. We do pay for 4 spaces at the Humane Society, but these are designated for dangerous dogs. I think the challenge with that is, dangerous dogs, and Chief Lehman is here. He can speak to that a little bit. You can't, obviously you don't know when a dangerous dog is going to bite somebody. So we can't necessarily bring a small dog that's not dangerous, because we only get 4 a month because there's so much constricted shelter space. So that's kind of how I'll tee it up. There's a long way to go on this, council. And again, it's a complex issue. And I know Ruby Medina's here, and if you'd be gracious enough to let her speak on the topic, I know she's very entrenched with that community, and she has a tremendous amount of knowledge. So if you would be gracious enough, Mayor, to let her speak a little bit on the topic.
Council, any objection to Ms. Medina speaking?
No objection.
No objection? Ms. Medina? And I do want to welcome you. I know that you have a great deal of information on that and many contacts in that world. And so you are a fount of information for us. So thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you. In regards to the shelter, we already have a shelter in place and ready to go. She's got a contract for the city of Sunnyside, $200 a dog. Whether it's sick, needs placement, it's a dog at large, vicious dogs, they have the resources and the support. So we have a shelter that's located in Kennewick, Washington, who's willing to provide that contract and that service for us. I just trapped a dog with the help of a school teacher from here in Sunnyside, Washington, Miss Nancy Campbell, a dog that was dumped by Dr. Weaver's office. Then there was other 3 more dogs that were dumped in the city. If you drive by the hospital in Tacoma Ave, there's probably about 10, 15 dogs running the streets. The need is there. I know Councilwoman Hancock asked me to be present in some of these meetings, and I haven't been present. But I would like to be, present and part of the strategy, planning and talk about these things. Pablo is still willing to work with the city of Sunnyside, and hopefully we can work that out too, since we have a position and funding for that. So, but it is a need. We definitely have people who own a lot of dogs who are in violation of the code as of now. And so.
Okay, well, and I know you volunteered in the past. I know it's been at least 5 years that you've been volunteering and making yourself available to help out, and I appreciate that. Council members, any questions for Ms. Medina or the manager? Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Am I missing the proposed resolution for the breeding? I know I had emailed it to you and to the previous economic development director.
It may be missing. My thought this was a discussion, so I honestly I did not include it, just to get a feel of where we're at and what your guys' thoughts were, and how far we want to go with this, and because I feel like we're sort of at the infancy stage, and to get your feedback, Deputy Mayor, like in terms of like where do we go from here, like as far as, because to me the largest issue, and I'd like Chief Lehman to weigh in on this, because my perspective, and I believe this could this be greater than a civil infraction? I mean, this could rise to criminal. I mean, depending on the shape of the dogs and things of that nature. So I think there's some larger issues that we might be facing.
As far as loose dogs or breeding?
No, the breeding element, like depending on, if we have to send in law enforcement to, to get a search warrant and things of this nature, Chief.
Yeah, so if you were to go after like the condition of the dogs or something to that effect, that could rise to level law enforcement and abuse to the animals. I think that there are some other municipalities around us with some dog breeding ordinances. I have not personally looked into it because I know that Mr. Bratton was working on it. So, but that's something that I can do. I know Yakima has like 4 animal control officers and recently rewrote their entire code. That could be something that we model after. I know that I was at a meeting about 4 months ago, and the hope was that all municipalities in the county within the Yakima County adopted the same animal control laws so that they were consistent throughout the county. I'm not sure how much further that went, but I know that discussion was had.
Okay, Ms. Hart.
Is that something that we can pursue, but in relationship to what, to have a model for us?
Yes, I think that we can look at Yakima's. I know it's relatively recently been updated. I'm not sure how extensive it is. I have not looked into it, to be honest with you, but I know that they've recently redid that and hired like 3 animal control officers to manage that program.
Okay.
Well, I have.
Go ahead.
Ms. Frausto, go ahead.
Question. If we go through with this ordinance, are we still keeping the contract with the Humane Society?
With the 4 beds?
With the Yakima County? Yeah.
I think we,
For
because
is
don't
it
we?
4 beds
Yeah.
Right now, we pay $1,000 for 4 beds a month.
or dangers only?
But
Okay, we
if
will.
there's one in Kennewick that would take them for 200, we might be better served.
And we'd pay per dog that way, it sounds like.
Pay per
Can
dog.
we get a contract? I mean, do we have to get a contract
She's ready to go.
like the Humane Society? I like that idea.
She's ready to go. Also too, Cherie, she's the manager of animal.
Could you come and speak into the microphone so that can be recorded?
So Cherie, she's the manager for the Tri-Cities animal control officers there. She also has the full unit. Some of the things I had talked to her about the issues that we have with, occupying Sunnyside PD's time. And she said, absolutely not. They don't do that. They have the ability to do the citations. They utilize their resources so that the officers don't have to, but they will come out if it's immediate or danger. But they have the ability to write the citations, free up the time of the officers so that it's used appropriately. And they're giving citations out. I mean, you would be surprised. And not to mention all the phone calls that I get. I was looking at the RCW that city manager had posted about the housing that needs to be provided to these dogs. They have to be able to run around in the kennel. They can't be touching sides. There has to be water. They can't be in their feces. And you'd be surprised. Just drive around Sunnyside and you would see that these dogs are not kept in sanitary, clean conditions. And it's bad. It's not good.
Councilor Hart.
I'm just wondering, you talked about is Benton County?
Benton Franklin County.
Animal control.
Tri-Cities Animal Control Shelter.
Would those same, when you say that the officers could be called out, would that be something that if we were working with the Benton County one, would those same ordinances and citations cross county lines?
Well, the county is different from the city. So.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah,
Would those not necessarily, can you answer that, Chief?
Yeah, I can speak on that. So we can write tickets through, it's kind of complex. So you can write the tickets through the jurisdiction that the incident is occurring. So if Benton County Animal Control officers came over, they would have to have a special commission over here and they could write through municipal court. They would have to have a special commission from the sheriff to write through district court, so that they can enforce county laws. So that's where they wouldn't be able to just come over and start enforcing our laws. They would have to have a special commission from the city.
Right.
So anybody that's non-commissioned law enforcement has to have a special commission. And that special commission has to outline what laws they're going to enforce. Ours would be like Section 6 of the Sunnyside Municipal Court will be enforced by animal control officer so-and-so. They're provided this special commission by chief of police.
Okay.
Yeah, Deputy Mayor.
How hard would it be to give them that commission? And who would, the city would give it to?
No, yeah, I provide the commission. I don't think it would be too hard. This is the first time I've ever heard that we've reached out to them. They have animal control capacity to bring officers over here?
Well,
Or are you just talking about taking the dogs?
taking dogs and training on staff.
Okay.
Helping us to model their model.
Okay, so there's shelter, there's training.
Now we just need an animal.
I think we need to investigate that one a little bit further, my personal opinion. And what I'm seeing here, and this is just me, but what I'm seeing here is there's several levels of need here because there's got to be a need of public education. People need to understand that if you're going to take responsibility for an animal, there is a responsibility, and you have to feed and you have to house and you have to take care of that animal. Then there's also the responsibility to keep that animal. Turning it loose when you're tired of it is not an option. When you take an animal in, you take that animal in for its life. And if you're not going to be able to continue with that, you find a home for it. And then finally, against the dog breeding, that's a specialized business, and that's got to be done in its own specialized place, and your backyard is not the place to do that. So that's kind of 3 different levels here, but what we're talking about here tonight is specifically the dog breeding ban. So go ahead, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
I had a question. Chief, can you email us the ban that Yakima has, the one that they just implemented?
Yeah, I can get a copy of their municipal code.
Yeah, we could do that. That would be, yeah.
And I'm not 100% sure if that includes a dog breeding section to their code. I just know that they rewrote their code recently.
Okay.
Mayor, if I may just add really quick.
Please keep speaking to the microphone, Ruby. I know you got to keep moving back and forth, but Ms. Hancock's on Zoom.
Also to, the Washington State Department of Revenue has also made, or outlined regulations for backyard breeders. And in order to be a backyard breeder, you have to have your dogs registered as AKC. These dogs are not registered. And there's so many different, rules and regulations to that as well. And they have to have a business license.
It comes back to educating the public and making sure that people are aware of that. So, okay, good information. Thank you. Is there further questions?
Mr. Mayor, if I
Yes, sir, Mr. Manager.
one thing I've had a conversation with Kelly and some of the senior staff and Deputy Mayor and I had a good conversation about the ACO position. And I tell you, I was all for reinstituting the ACO position and I got some pushback and I wanted to kind of have a group discussion to get the kind of the fiscal perspective. Cause I think I'm a glass half full person. Like I'm kind of with, Ruby in the sense like I believe she can connect, even if it's 10 or 15 dogs, we saved 10 or 15, that's better than none. But also we have to, be good stewards of folks' money and if it's not cash flowing and, so I'm conscious of the fiscal perspective and also the other elements. So I think it's warranted that we have that conversation on, because the ACO is in the budget and, we could reinstitute that and put that out and full disclosure, Pablo has reached out to us. I have not, it hasn't been like I'm recruiting him without anything being on the job board. I just want everybody to know that. But anyhow, that has been a discussion of should we institute this? So I just kind of wanted to bring that to the floor, Mayor, and get the feel of how the council feels about it before, I put this job out and everybody goes, what the heck are you doing? That it doesn't make sense.
All right. So council, what is the feeling, thoughts of council on that one, Mr. Deputy Mayor?
My thoughts are if we could team up with that group over there and we could have somewhere we could take these dogs, I'm all for an ACO. But if we're gonna have an ACO just driving around, picking up a dog, not having somewhere to put it, there's no need for an ACO. So, I mean, if we can make both happen at the same time, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Deputy Mayor. And I'd also maybe we should talk, that way we could get all that information and get it rolling. Thank you for that.
And I think what I can do, Deputy Mayor, is let me work with Ruby and get the facts of what that program looks like and, how it ties to an ACO. Like I said, if we can impact, but I do agree with Kelly and Deputy Mayor that we can't just be driving around, picking up dogs and then going, oh my gosh, there isn't a place to take them and then having to release them. So we'll do, that'll be our homework for this particular agenda item.
Yeah, and I thank you for that. I think council in general would like, because I know there's pressure in the community to have some animal control.
Right.
I know there's a lot of pressure because I hear from people, and so to be able to do that, and again, as the Deputy Mayor said, to be able to pick up dogs and not have a place to go for them, that's just kind of a waste of energy. So let's look at getting this whole process done, and I think you can get that on an agenda for a upcoming meeting, and I think we'd be happy to move forward on something like that if we can see all the details. So the sooner you get that out to us, the sooner we can work on it.
Work on that. Thanks.
All right. Further questions or comments on this item? All right. Next item, public records request policy discussion. The Rules Committee meets occasionally. It is a subcommittee of council and gets together and reviews the council rules of procedure and other rules pertaining to council activities. And there's been some discussion over council members and their right to access information. And so I know everyone in the audience has thoroughly read the manager's evaluation and saw that one of the things in there, one of the comments in there was council members have a right to expect information when they ask for it. And so what the Rules Committee did is we got together, and that's myself, the Deputy Mayor, and Councilor Frausto, and started working on requests for information. And I think we had a very good meeting, very productive. I'm going to let the Deputy Mayor take the lead on it because he called the meeting, and this has been something that he's been passionate about. And so I, first of all, want to commend him for the work that he's done, and also for taking the lead on bringing this forward. So go ahead, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
One thing I do see here is it says a draft public records request policy. So the keyword is public. Council, I don't think falls in the same category as a public. Public records, there's an RCW, so there's no way that we're changing an RCW. So I think this should actually be council public records request policy. And that's something that, like Mayor said, I took the initiative and, we took notes. Mike was taking notes on the whiteboard and that's what I have here. So it's part of the rules and procedures is to add some segments there. So the first one, if council has all the information, I think Jackie, do you have a digital, were you able to
I
scan
do
it?
not. This was I think this is different because this is
Yeah.
for public records request, which is something we've been wanting to update, but I wanted to wait till we had GovQA, which is our records request portal in place, so that it aligned with the policy. So I think this is something different than what you guys are referring to.
Okay,
So the-
yeah,
the
so
public-
and that's where I was, because Jackie's been working on one, and when we talked, I think Thursday, we were in alignment on you had to update this policy.
Yes, the
And,
last one was
and we've been working on.
something
So
different.
this isn't the one that we were working.
No, this just happened to be something that Jackie had been working on prior and was bringing it forward to the body.
Okay.
So it's a coincidence.
Okay, because we had, as a committee, we'd said we were going to bring it to the study session. So I think we all just assumed that that's what we were talking about here tonight. So.
Well, yeah, and I think, I don't know if it was confusion on all of our part where you were working on that and then that. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. I think it was, everybody was working on a lot of different public records policies.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, but.
Okay, well, let's continue with the discussion that the
Yeah, I don't think it's out of
Rules
bounds.
Committee.
Yeah, I don't think.
And
it's out of
then,
bounds.
and then we can bring forward the public records
Yeah.
issue as well. I think they both kind of work together. One's for council and one is for the public. So let's go ahead and let's talk about the council records requests policy that we've talked about.
So we talked to Nate about having some sort of, I guess, something in writing, right? I mean, I'm all for counselors asking for requests. I do it all the time. I ask questions. So if you guys could see there, it's section 9.4.1. Request for information related to agenda items. The agenda, we've been doing a good job this past 2 weeks. It's been coming out on Thursday and then updated afterwards. So I know the need of council members asking for information on the agenda items because we're going to vote for them, right? If we don't have all the information, then what are we voting for? We just don't have it. So one of the ideas is to email to the city manager, and I just put this timeline. So I mean, it could be changed no later than Monday at noon prior to the council meeting. The mayor and deputy mayor must be copied on such requests. So if members of council have any questions on the agenda coming up for Monday, email the questions to Mike, our manager. And then the Mike will coordinate with staff to respond and distribute the requested information to the full council at the city council meeting. Subsection B says if additional questions arise during the meeting or if staff requires more time to respond, the city manager or the designee shall follow up with the requesting council member within 48 hours, either by providing information or communicating a revised time frame for delivery. Maybe some of the time we just don't have the information. You guys won't have the information, readily available. The next section.
And if I may jump in here, this is basically the operating manual that we have been operating under, but I don't think it has ever been in council rules. I think council wants to know what we can expect from the manager. And I get the feeling that Ms. Estrada is here and wants to make some comments on this because she's standing at the podium. And so is council okay with allowing an expert city clerk to speak on the subject? Because this is a study session and I think we should be willing to receive some input on this as well. So, okay, go ahead, Ms. Estrada.
I'll defer to your legal counsel. However, the topic for discussion on your agenda as a study session is to discuss the public records policy that your city clerk has put before you, not a separate policy that the Rules Committee has discussed that's specific to your council members. That's a different topic for a different day. That's not on your agenda. And I realize and recognize and appreciate how you want to combine topics because they feel similar, but that's not what's on your agenda. What's on your agenda is what your city clerk put on your agenda, which is the public records policy that governs how you handle public records for the city of Sunnyside, not how you handle public records amongst yourselves as council members. And on a study session, you cannot add items to the agenda that aren't already published, nor can you take action on items on a study session agenda that aren't already on the agenda. It's not a regular meeting, it's a study session.
We're not having any action on this, so this is,
But you're talking about something that's different than what's presented to the public and to all of you to study in advance of this meeting. So the public hasn't had an opportunity to discuss what you're or to review what you're discussing right now. What they have seen, assuming they've read your council packet, is what was in the agenda packet, which is the policy that's a part of your agenda. And that's not what you're discussing right now. You're discussing something that's between your Rules Committee.
Mr. Mayor, I'm good with going back to this. I mean, the confusion was there. We thought,
Yeah, and you recognize that. I think that's really good that you guys recognize that and appreciate that, and just staying on topic for the sake of transparency for the community and for all of you, I think is the best.
okay. Thank you, Ms. Estrada. All right, so we can bring this back to another discussion.
Yeah, definitely.
So council members, I would
Refer to legal. Legal is in the room. Can you
Okay.
advise?
Yeah, she's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a special meeting. Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
agenda topic. The agenda topic
Mhm.
identifies public records.
Yeah.
Policy, and of course, it's called the Public Records Act policy, but
Mhm.
if there's confusion about what.
Yeah, and my personal style is quite informal, and so I do respect, and I've known Mrs. Estrada for quite some time, and I've never found her to be out of line on these types of things. So,
No, and I appreciate it, but I wanted it to come directly from our council so we can put it on the record.
okay. So council, what I'm going to recommend is that you read through this and study it and make recommendations via email to either myself or the deputy mayor or Ms. Frausto. And we can take that up under consideration in a future meeting. And we will then talk about
So now we're going to,
what's on the agenda, the public records request policy.
Do we want to talk about the because
I think so.
this is something Jackie's been working on. So we talked a little bit about it. So, this is really her agenda item and something she's been working on. And forgive me for the confusion. I thought it was going to dovetail into ultimately our discussion about how records,
Oh, and as Deputy Mayor said, we as a committee thought that this was going to be on tonight's agenda, which is why we were prepared to discuss this. And it looks similar. And so
yeah, and
so
so
it caught us off guard. So
we are well prepared for it, Jackie and I. So Jackie, you've got the floor.
right, Jackie, it's all you.
Okay. All right, so this item is to update our public records request policy. It aims to replace the outdated 2017 policy. It modernizes the record delivery methods. Like I mentioned, we've put in place the GovQA portal, which the community can submit records requests there. And it also allows for cloud links. It discusses clear response timelines. It also has the fee schedule, which I do have to note that we have to include the body camera fees, but that is on our fee schedule online. It also acknowledges that staff time commitment. For example, if it's just me or one staff member that who isn't just dedicated to records requests, it states that a minimum of 10 hours or 20 hours, I think it's 20, are permitted or allowed for records requests fulfillment. If there are more requests at that time, we can designate additional time for bigger requests, but it does outline that we can limit the hours, but by still fulfilling records requests. I did note that there was some revenue collected such for copy scan fees and obviously the body cam footage minutes, but it does not offset the costs that covers the staff time. But the Public Records Act is for the public to get the records. And the policy is flexible and it can be updated at any time, or if you have any suggestions, we can make those adjustments before council takes action.
All right, council questions for city clerk. Mr. Deputy Mayor.
So Jackie, in 2025, cities only collected the $1,179. How many hours would you say that takes?
In 2025?
Yeah.
I don't know yet, since there's 4 of us that process records requests. I take care of, so Vicky takes care of the police department, Louis takes care of the fire department, Vanessa takes care of the court, and then I take care of everything else. So I don't know what all of us combined would have, and we're just transitioning over to GovQA. So once everybody's already on that system, I'll be able just to generate a report to see how long everybody's taking on their requests.
So this is for all 4 of you combined?
Yes. Yeah.
Further questions or comments? All right, how can we help you?
If you have any suggestions to the draft that I've provided, that template is something that other various municipalities use. So it's something that is available on MRC, and I've just updated it to fit our GovQA and the way we operate here.
Okay, Ms. Hart.
I was just noticing you said here, it says city staff spent over 3,030 hours responding to public records requests in 2022, another 1,045 hours in 2023. Any idea what 2024 is?
So we have to manually combine 4 spreadsheets. And so that's what we're working on right now, is to be able to provide, upload that to JLARC. So we'll be doing that soon.
Okay.
Everybody's working on their spreadsheets.
So just to continue that thought, then if in 2025, that would be from January through, say, May 30?
It'll be through December 31st. We just submit that report in June, in June, I believe. June.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the number that you show here for 2025 so far is the 1779.76 in revenue?
That is how much revenue has been collected.
Which may be, that doesn't include hours, that's just.
That does not. We do not capture hours, and these records are the public, so we just have to produce them.
Right.
Okay. Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Jackie, so thank you for all of this and everything that you do for the city. Would you, and this is something I saw in Yakima, right? Yakima, and this is something that we talked in the Rules Committee. Yakima has a portal that the public could go in there and print out anything from a contract to whatever, something that the city provides there. Would it make sense for Sunnyside to have something like that and update our website and get something going? That way, if the public knows where to look for it, they could just go there, get what they need. And if for some reason it's not there, then they could do the public request. Would that eliminate some of the?
That is, yes. And our portal, during implementation, we designed it so that if a request came in for a resolution, it would defer them over to the section of our website where those documents are already housed. So the public has access to those at all times. If they go to the city clerk's page, we have a public records page, and it has the link to the resolution, ordinances, interlocal agreements. We can also, let's say it's a commonly requested document, I can make that document public for anybody. Nobody has to submit a records request. I can just publish it public.
But we could add to that, right? Because
Yeah,
I know Yakima has city-approved contracts.
Yeah, we can definitely.
City manager-approved contracts.
Mhm. We can start just like the resolutions and ordinances, an archive center for those contracts, and we can just redact any information that we can do that ahead of time. We can start now if that's the direction that council gives the city manager.
I think it would help. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Ms. Russell.
Go ahead.
The conversation was about streamlining. So, and if we capture this information, it's pretty evident and obvious on the site, then that would hopefully deter a lot more traffic coming to you, Victoria or Louis, in the future. And I know right now, and actually for a while now, we've been talking about even the website improvement. So I think you, Deputy Mayor, you're referring to creating maybe some subsection or within the website that would highlight this is where the contracts are. And then we upload all of these contracts and keep them live within the website.
Yes, so I can show you what I was referring to. In our website, in the clerk page. So you go to departments, city clerk. There's a section that says public records, and we have city ordinances, city resolutions, interlocal agreement, and we can definitely put in one that says just general contracts. And we can start doing that now, if that's the direction to city manager. Is that answer the question? And then again, we can link that back to the implementation of the records request portal, that if anybody asks for a certain contract, it'll just refer them back to this page that you're seeing here.
Okay, yeah, that works. I mean,
That would be, save some time for staff, I would think.
Yeah, I believe so. If a records request, I mean, this is all the public's records, they belong to them. So if this is the direction council gives the city manager, we can definitely implement that.
Okay.
do we need a resolution or just direction?
I think at this point, we can just do direction. Am I correct? Yeah, I think so. Seems like there's no objection from council. I'm not seeing anybody going, no, I don't want that to happen. So absolutely, let's get that information out there available.
Streamline it, you bet.
And that way, if people want to print that stuff out, they can print out as many reams of paper as they wish. And that's entirely on them.
It seems like, just a question on that. You just talked about fees.
Go ahead, Ms. Hart.
So the business of fees, when the public does seek a public request and then they get a copy of the public request, is there a charge for the paper used, the copy machine, the time of the staff?
There is a fee for scanning and copying, also to transmit electronically. There's a fee. We do not charge for staff time. There is a way to charge for staff time. We just have to do a study and, but only for, I have the fee to scan, how much it costs for the staff member to go over and do that copy, but only for that. We can't charge them for attorney questions that we send over to them. I can't say I worked for 12 hours on that request. I can't charge them for that.
Right.
Makes sense.
Okay. Further questions, comments?
No.
Hearing none, it sounds like, Mr. City Manager, you've got some direction.
Absolutely. Sounds
Right.
good. No, I think this will bring more clarity and honestly make it easier for me to keep things organized. And if somebody, council or the public wants to see a contract, I think Deputy Mayor was the one who discovered that one over at Yakima, right? And, so that process, sometimes you steal good ideas and I like the way they're doing that. And so I think that was a great suggestion by Deputy Mayor.
All right. Well, thank you for the work that you've done, Jackie. Thanks for all the preparation you've done on that. That was.
Of course. One more question. So with a few other revisions, are we okay with putting this on the next regular council meeting for action, or would you like more time?
Council, would you like more time?
I think we're ready. If you're ready,
You're ready, we're ready.
Okay.
All right, I'll talk to the city manager and we'll make sure to put it on the next one.
Perfect.
Is anything that we can do to make it clearer and easier and more efficient?
All right.
I'm all for
There's
that.
No further questions on this item.
One more thing, Mr.
One more
Mayor, if there's any ever in the future, anything that you want to suggest, just bring it to the city manager so we don't have to wait, months and months. So
Oh,
just
yes.
let us know.
Yes, this one took a little bit because of that implementation. I wanted to make sure that the records portal followed through with the policy. So we just kept pushing it back a little bit, but it was in the works for the last few months.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good deal. Thank you.
All right. Next item is interpreting services discussion. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And this is something that we've discussed periodically over this past year, interpreting services, the costs. There's different technology pieces now available. AI has sort of changed the game. There are several regional providers as well. I know Councilwoman Frosto has been heavily active in this conversation. Jacqueline has done a lot of work, researching the different companies that can provide the services. So Jacqueline's done a nice job of putting some of the hourly rates together and revisiting this subject. Sunnyside is a highly Latino population. Many of our community members are monolingual, so we're very conscious of that and providing everyone the opportunity to understand what's happening at the council meeting. So we do want to revisit this. I think we do have to mention too, we provided translation services through Zoom. We didn't get a ton of interaction with it, but I do think it was very clunky, getting on board the Zoom and then, having to get online. And then there was quite a bit of delay with the Zoom. So I don't think that was very reflective. Because, when you make it hard for folks to get online, it's kind of like, it's not a comfortable experience. So and again, we've provided some options and really to see if council wants to deliver this to the public again, and where we want to go with it.
All right. You said it was clunky. I want to say that people hated it. It was,
it's
it was not
clunky is a
something
nice
that
way.
they liked at all. If they managed to get on it at all, it didn't work well for them. And a lot of people were really confused about how to work that. And I think we need to make something a little bit more intuitive for people. We don't want to make it difficult. We want to make people, we want them to be able to participate. So council members, questions or comments on this item?
Or
I'll let others.
how much interaction have we had with needing the interpretation?
I'm going to let Jackie answer the question because she's monitoring it, but I think we had maybe what was our max? Maybe 3 to 5 folks that jumped online and listened at the max.
Yeah, through Zoom, yes, probably 3, the max. And then when we implemented Kudo AI, tested it, I think we had a few more users that were probably curious, but I'm sure that if we provided the service, we would probably have more interaction and need of it for it.
Do we have enough money for it?
Ms. Hart's got the floor.
I was just curious as to, now I forgot money. So would it be something that would be available on demand? A person would come on our website and seek that interpretive service and then sign up for it? Or is it?
Well, it depends on which one you choose. If you choose an in-person interpreter, they would probably, our best solution would be to provide the interpreting headphones where they listen to the interpreter. If it were the app, then that is, I don't know if you remember, there was a QR code that was on the screen and people could, it's automatically, you scan it with the QR code. It's just teaching people how to scan. And then it's live and it even provides a transcript of the meeting. Obviously, like interpreting services, it's not 100% accurate, but it attempts to. And the languages that were available were Spanish, English, French, Filipino, and Vietnamese at the moment when we tried it last time. But it would just be a quick scan of your phone and then the interpreting services there. You can put headphones on if you had it, or you can just read it. But it just all depends on which service you choose.
So you've offered, I'm sorry.
Okay. Ms. Ripley.
Or it's me.
Ms. Ripley, you. Okay. Well, Ms.
Okay, I have a question.
Vasquez, yeah.
So I see, Apple Valley Interpreting Services, it looks like they don't have any of the equipment. So if we were to go with them, then we would be having to purchase that equipment. And then I see in the bottom, the produce guy, it says he does not have interpreting equipment, but he can purchase if the city enters into the agreement with him. So does that mean that then he would take on that cost to purchase his own equipment?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, and then I see down here that if we were to go with him, we would still have to cover a staff member's time. Is that correct? Or was that just in general for all 4?
That is only for the spec list, which is the, if we purchase the headphones ourselves, we would have to have somebody that knew how to troubleshoot that with the person, because the interpreter is only expected to speak into the microphone.
Okay, correct. So then that time would be required if we were to go with someone without the equipment.
The 1 hour travel time?
Yes.
That is only for the produce guy.
Okay.
I believe his name is Nate. I know it's Nate Montgomery, but that's his business that he was operating under. And he actually helped us with the cannabis community forum. Unfortunately, I don't think that there was anybody that he needed to interpret for, but he was still present. But he also works with Mr. Villaseñor, I think is his name. He interprets for Toppenish, oh no, Granger and Yakima. So I believe they work together.
Okay. I have one more question.
Go ahead.
So Miss Flowers interpreters, it says equipment fee $800 per meeting. Would that be per meeting, not like by month?
That was their last quote that they gave us. And in order for us to use their equipment, it's $800 a meeting.
That's, that's expensive. I know, I see subtitles done by AI on a lot of different videos, and even when they're going from English to English, they get it wrong quite often. And I read, I see a lot of documentaries and information stuff, and boy, they get it wrong. And so I guess I like the personal touch, but that's going to be considerably more expensive. But I think we're going to be more accurate if we have an actual person who's doing the interpreting. We're probably not going to get a lot of people needing Vietnamese in Sunnyside, but I suppose it's always something that could happen. I know we've got a growing Haitian community, but none of them offer Haitian Creole. And I certainly don't speak it well enough anymore to be able to help with that.
If you'd like, I can ask Kudo AI, which seems like it's the least expensive option right now, because I think it was 150 meetings. So not only would it help with the council meetings, we could help the boards and commissions if they needed to, or if we held another community forum, we can use that. All we have to do is plug in or give them our Zoom ID. Obviously, with everything, there's little
which is
pluses, positives, and negatives there, but Kudo AI seems like it's the least expensive.
I have a question, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Is there a way that they offer like a 14-day trial and then cancel after?
I know that they provided they provided 2 trial meetings last time, and I can ask them if that's something they can provide again so that you can see it live again. Would you like for me to do that?
If we advertise.
I mean, it wouldn't hurt.
To get a lot more people.
Yeah.
Get it out and give it a try. Yeah.
That seems like that's a good idea.
Seems that's the direction the council is leaning. So
Okay.
Let's go that way.
Let's try it out and then we'll see from there.
Okay, yeah, we can ask them to try it out again, and we'll download the recording this time and download the transcripts and provide that to you all so you can see and make a decision after that. So I contacted Pilar, and she's going to work on an updated quote, and I'll ask her about the 2 trials or a few more.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
And the conversation that I had with you, Jackie, and I think the city manager, I don't know who else was part of that email thread, was that this AI option seems like one of the best options. But once we get to like the retraining or the free trial while we train ourselves on how to use it, I think the gap that we're trying to bridge here is to make sure that the audience knows how to use it, because the tool is there and the tool is great, but what good does it do for us to have something of service when our community members come in and don't know how to use it, or we have someone like a staff member who's helping them kind of work through it until eventually it becomes kind of secondhand to them, right? So that's something that we should also consider once we get back into this, is how will we make sure that the audience or the participants, whoever may need to use it, whatever language it is, knows how to operate the tool.
Yes, I think last time when we did the trial, we were only on I think it was Friday, and then Monday was the trial meeting. So we didn't have much time I think we put it out there for 2 meetings, but we will definitely, if it's something we implement, we'll communicate it out more.
Yeah. Thank you for your work on this, Jackie.
Yes, of course, it's.
All right. That sounds like a positive, right direction. So I appreciate that. Thank you. All right. The next item on the agenda is an executive session. Executive session.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
forgive me, I am requesting to speak. I know I wasn't allowed during public comment, but like to ask the board to say a few things because a lot of the comments pertain to me and my administration.
Council. Manager has requested an opportunity to speak.
I say he can speak.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not seeing anybody saying no, so without objection, Mr. Manager, you may take a few moments.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council. Really appreciate it. Like I said, a lot of the comments pertain to myself and my administration. And, you know, I was a journalist for a long time, and I've learned there's three sides to a coin. There's one side, the other, then there's the truth. And good evening, council members and the Sunnyside community. When I walked through these doors of City Hall, I inherited a broken city, an organization where far too many people simply weren't qualified to do their job. The budget was in disarray, morale was low, and trust between the city and its people were fractured. So yes, I cleaned house. I rolled up my sleeves, examined every line of the budget, and began rebuilding a team that this council and this community can be proud of. A team grounded in transparency, experience, and able to provide incredible service and strive for excellence. I did not come to Sunnyside to play politics. I came here to accomplish real, tangible things for the people of this community. I came to lead, so I'm asking the city council and this community to help me with my vision that I've already been working on. I envision a city where families can thrive, where jobs are plentiful, where children can walk home from school without the fear of gang violence or being caught in the crossfire. A city where opportunity is not a dream, but a daily reality. Because right now, council, that is not the reality. The truth is my administration has gotten results. Under my leadership, we brought in over $1.8 million in grant funding for soccer fields, for our pool, for vital infrastructure. We fixed well 7, increasing our water capacity, and well 6 will be complete before the year is over, securing much needed water for our economic future. We've entered into a purchase and sale agreement for the Munson property that will hopefully bring desperately needed housing to our community. And we are finally rebranding Sunnyside, so we're not Smelly Side, not with slogans, but with real substance that's making a difference. I haven't stayed behind a desk. I'm the first city manager to get out into the community and walk into business and ask this: what do you need from us? What do you need from local government? I've listened to our business owners, and I've invited every voice to the table to show them that we truly care about them and their future. Sunnyside is a city that is 90% Latino, and I am a leader who has not only recognized that truth, but I have embraced it. I've made an intentional effort to uplift and celebrate the culture that defines this community. Because this isn't just about policies, it's about people. It's about the people of Sunnyside, especially those who have been overlooked for decades, far too long. They deserve our full attention and our full respect, our full commitment. I acknowledge, council, I am not perfect. I have made mistakes, and I'm working on them every single day to get better. Deputy Mayor and I had a good conversation. I'm not a perfect man. You know, I've trusted a lot of people that I shouldn't have. Some of them are in this room tonight. And you know what? That breaks my heart because I'm a way too trusting person. In closing, let me be clear. I came to build, not to bicker. I came to lead, not to play games. And I cannot and will not allow politics to get in the way of the progress of Sunnyside. But I need your help, council. I need unity, not division. I'm calling on this council, every single member of this council, to put the people in this room first before all the politics. I cannot change the past, whether it's Sunnyside or my own. My life has been an open book for 3 years, battling nasty politics of Franklin County, people on the far right trying to destroy me, but they won't destroy me because I just keep moving forward. What I can do is change the future for all of us. I'm doing that, and I will continue now and into the future. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. No applause, please. All right. Moving on with the agenda. The next part of the agenda is an executive session. Executive session pertains to the following RCW 42.30.110. 1G, to evaluate the qualifications of an applicant for public employment or to review the performance of a public employee. However, subject to RCW 42.30.1404, discussion by a governing body of salaries, wages, and other conditions of employment to be generally applied within the agency shall occur in a meeting open to the public. And when a governing body elects to take final action, hiring, setting the salary of an individual employee or a class of employees, or discharging or disciplining an employee, that action shall be taken in a meeting open to the public. And also RCW 42.30.1101I, to discuss with legal counsel representing the agency matters relating to agency enforcement actions, or to discuss with legal counsel representing the agency litigation or potential litigation to which the agency, the governing body, or a member acting in an official capacity is or is likely to become a party, when public knowledge regarding the discussion is likely to result in an adverse legal or financial consequence to the agency, and action is possible. So we will allow you a moment to exit the premises. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight and for sticking with it. In this hot, sweaty room, it's you guys stuck it out.
Recording pause.
Okay, ready.
All right, we are back in open session and there will be action. And there is a motion by council, by myself, to place the city manager on 30-day paid administrative leave effective immediately. Manager is to turn in all city property, including phone, computer, documents, to us this evening, and the car and any other city property you may have should be turned in by the end of the workday tomorrow to Fire Chief Holbrick. Is there a second?
Second it.
May I ask why, Mayor? Because this feels unjust. You had a former employee who had nothing to do with the actions or was not a city employee in here during an executive session, which was so unjust and so unfair. And I don't even have a chance to know what this is about or my actions. I mean, this has been a witch hunt from the very beginning, and it's been orchestrated by that woman over there, Councilwoman.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. We do have a motion on the floor. The individual was here as a consultant.
A consultant, that's not true. And you know,
The individual consulted and only consulted. Sir, we have a motion on the table.
Okay,
We're going to take.
and I'll respect that, but I do feel like this is unjust. It's not fair.
Thank you, sir.
And I've worked extremely hard for this community.
All right, so I'm going to write this down. Councilor Hancock,
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez,
Yes.
Councilor Ripley,
Yes.
Councilor Frausto,
Oh,
Deputy Mayor,
Yes.
Councilor Hart,
No.
and I vote yes. Motion passes. Thank you. If there's, there being no further business to come before council and without objection, we do need to appoint somebody. Yes, thank you, sir, for that. For the next 2 days, we will appoint Fire Chief Halbrick as our acting city manager, and we will have a special meeting on Wednesday night to approve a interim city manager while the investigation is being conducted. And so that will be a special meeting that will be noticed tomorrow, but the meeting will be for Wednesday evening at 6 in these chambers.
I think we actually need to move to appoint him and vote.
Wow, what's the joy of being a mayor if I have to do that? Okay, sorry. All right. Do we have a motion for the acting city manager? I'm sorry, I am so tired.
I move to appoint Chief Halbrick as the interim city manager.
I'll second.
All right, we've got a motion by Councilor Hancock, second by Councilor Vasquez to appoint Chief Halbrick as the acting city manager for 2 days. Is there debate on this item? Hearing none. Am I able to do this with just a voice vote?
I have a debate.
You have a debate. Any debate on this item then?
Yes, I hope after this that we can come together to find a consensus on how we're going to move forward for the betterment of the community, because every decision that is made on this dais, previous or currently, is impacting the community. And that's what we should always keep in mind about the people who elected us into these seats, and how every decision that we are making is going to impact them. We're putting an administrator on leave, and that's going to be pay. We're bringing in an investigator, that's going to be pay. I know many of you are step up to that podium and talk about the discrepancies in the budget and how much money has been wasted and spent. So just know that this is going to cost the city money. So I hope for the betterment of the community that we can all get our stuff together. Because if we don't, we're going to continue bringing them down with us.
Thank you, Councilor Frausto. You are extremely accurate in your statement. All right. Anyway, back to my question. Can we do a voice vote, Madam Clerk, or do you prefer a roll call vote?
Roll call.
Roll call vote. Okay. Councilor Hancock.
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez.
Yes.
Councilor Ripley.
Yes.
Councilor Frausto.
No.
Deputy Mayor.
Yes.
Councilor Hart.
No.
And I too vote yes. The fire chief will be our acting city manager for a couple of days. So, all right. Is there any other steps I've missed? All right. Again, special meeting on Wednesday evening at 6 o'clock in these chambers. One agenda item, hopefully. All right. If there's no objection, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.